Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24111.
Good morning, Pats, and welcome back to the final hour of Tip Today. Huge reaction to so many different aspects of the show this morning, but Paula was talking to us there about that new legislation that is happening in Europe at the moment. That's very kind of scary indeed. But Austin was on to us and he said, do you not think it's already happening 100%, Fran? All this does is give government the data. The IT companies already have it and nobody's really policing them. Mass surveillance is already here. If you think the IT companies don't have the data already, you're very, very green. Meta, Google and X of this world, they know everything. Meta already owns Instagram, Facebook and WhatsApp. And even if you don't download their app or give them your phone number, one of your friends will download the app, share your name and your details with them. Alexa in the homes already recording your conversations. LG televisions recording conversations. If you turn on Samsung phones on airplane mode, Samsung can still locate it and turn it on and highlight its position. So even in airplane mode, it's not exactly offline. If you buy a PC today, there's no on-off switch, just a click to indicate it's supposed to be on and off. All your stuff on new PCs gets directed into the cloud rather than local storage. The horse as well and truly already bolted. I just bought a new digital kettle last week and I'm very suspicious of it, says Austin to us today. Well, there you go. A little bit of humour at the end. You can't beat it. Now, it's time for our health slot. Delighted to be joined in the studio by Muriel and Charlotte. Good morning to you both. And, the C word, Christmas is, what is it, 5 weeks away, is it?
4, isn't it? 4 at this
4
stage?
weeks, is it?
Today's the 20th.
Right, so 4 weeks away. So we're going to look today at maybe how we could look after ourselves, I suppose, on this run-up to Christmas. Well, I start with you, Muriel. What do you say? A lot of people coming into you in the last few days, are they looking for some quick fix or something?
Yeah, well, I suppose I've a lot of new people coming in even in the last week or two. And when somebody comes into me at this stage of the year, you're kind of, I suppose, it wouldn't have been done 2 or 3 years ago. Most people would wait until January and do the goals and all that kind of thing in January. But more people are becoming more aware. Like Christmas is in the middle, and I suppose to be well is one of the biggest things, isn't it? And so many people are unwell at the minute. So, yeah, what can I do with them in the space of 4 weeks that I can kind of turn that around? That you're not looking at heading into A&E Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas Eve or going to.
What can you do, Muriel? Because I would have thought at this point of the year we'd say, look, fecked, we'll have a party between now and Christmas and we look after it all in the new year. That used to be the way that we would think.
You see, it used to be the way, but people now are more concerned about themselves. They're definitely, like, if they feel there's an issue or whatever, how many people have serious things happen to in their 50s in the last whatever month or 6 weeks even locally that we would know of. So that's out there all the time, so it's in your head. For me, the bloods are probably number one to actually see, is there anything in the bloods that is highly inflammatory that you need to work on immediately, right? And after that, even if somebody didn't come into me, I always talk about the 5 pillars. So the 5 pillars, and I'm literally, like, in my sleep, if anybody's listening to me, like the nutrition, hydration, exercise, sleep and stress. They're the 5 pillars in anybody's world. And I was at the Functional Medicine Conference in Dublin the week before last. There was probably about 16 professors, right? They only hold it in Dublin once every 4 years or something. There was probably about 16 professors in from all over the world. And they were talking about everything like thyroid health and cancers and diabetic and cardiac, all the different things and all the medicated side. But the medicated side will work on one level. But if you're not doing the 5 pillars on the other side, the medicated side isn't even going to hold its own over a long period of time.
So it has to be holistic, as they say.
You have to. So for the next 4 weeks even, if you're talking about the holistic side, if you can eat a little bit more well, so you're just like, so many people coming in, Fran, eat no breakfast. And by the time they get to lunchtime, they're so hungry. And by the time they get home in the evening time, they're eating all evening to compensate for not having breakfast. So, like, have your breakfast. 10% of people, only 10% of people drink enough water, that they're properly hydrated. Water controls every single system in the body, like your body temperature, your blood pressure, like moving food through the gut. Every single thing is water. So simplify. Drink your water. 2 litres a day. Try and get in, even if it's out of the kettle, Like even if you dip the tea bag in and that's the way you want to drink it, drink the water. The exercise, it doesn't have to be a big deal. It can be 10 minutes. The simplest way to add in exercise, if you're not doing anything at the minute, is do 10-minute walk after your dinner in the evening. It's proven time and time again to cut your blood sugar spikes in half at that hour of the day. So if you get up and just walk around the house for 10 minutes, outside the house even or whatever, then straight away your insulin levels and everything are coming down. So those 3 things help you sleep. So then if you can sleep a little bit more well, straight away the 4 have fed into the stress. So your stress levels, even if they don't come down, you can manage them. You actually start to see the wood from the trees, so to speak, in relation to what really needs to be done or not. Does that make sense? So
It does indeed. And, I was reading about this happiness index, and seemingly Ireland is beginning to really sort of pummel down that particular index. Would that be your experience? Are people finding life difficult in general?
We talk about it in the clinic all the time. Like every evening when I finish, even with Charlotte, like she'll even say to me, that was a tough day. Like people are definitely, I don't know, they're unwell. They're not in good form. Yeah, they're stressed. Stress is probably one of the biggest ones. But where's the stress coming from? I think financial is probably massive, to be honest with you.
Cost of living.
Cost of living is just, and then we take on so much. Like how many people actually know how to relax and how to switch off, etc. And if you're not doing that, and I talk about that, like I can't do the lifestyle side, I can't do the nutrition and everything if I don't talk about lifestyle, as in the stress. Where's your downtime? How do you come down? Do you take a weekend off? All of that. Like, so we're trying to do a million different things. And in Ireland, we don't get the weather either. So if we don't have the weather that you're not out in the morning, that you can sit on the sidewalk and have a cup of coffee, you're not getting the endorphins or the adrenaline. So where do you get it from?
Muriel, is this right across the demographic?
Oh yeah, definitely.
This is from young people up to mature people.
It doesn't really matter what age.
Yes.
And if you're doing things wrong, that you're not getting even the health side of it right, you're going to feel more unwell. Your system does come down. Once somebody has even done one session with me and they listen to what I'm telling them to do, and they even do it within 50%, 50 or 60%, straight away the world starts lifting. Because if you nourish the body properly, the body's going to start feeling a bit better. The things I said to you, if you exercise, like I was in the gym this morning, did I want to go? It was the last place I wanted to go today.
On a cold morning.
Cold morning, and I was tired, So even to go in and lift a weight, yeah, it was the last thing.
But you felt better.
But the minute I came out, the minute I even lifted the first weight, and I always say that to myself, you don't have to kill it. Just go in and do 20 minutes. Just go in and do whatever. Like Charlotte was out walking this morning, and like her feet are so sore, she finds it so hard to walk. But it lifts your mood that the day runs so much easier for you. And even people will say to me, "How do you manage to eat well? Like you just, it's easy for you. Like, and you're just whatever."
Yeah.
It's not easy. Like if I've overeaten all weekend, like I don't want to be eating like my eggs the first thing on a Monday morning. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd love to go off down and have whatever, the sausage roll or whatever, but I know if I eat the wrong stuff, that level of saturated fat or whatever will make me feel awful. So then my day starts on that whatever downer. So yeah.
Charlotte, you look after the aesthetic end of it, I suppose. What are people coming to you? I mean, is Christmas their goal? We want to look great for the Christmas parties and the outings and all of that. Is that what you're hearing at the moment?
That's what I'm hearing at the moment. Can I just come back to something that Muriel said there?
Yeah,
I think
of course.
The most important thing for looking and feeling well is surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah.
If you want to look well and you want to feel well, you've got to be around men or women that also have that same end goal in mind.
That's very interesting.
Because if you don't, you find yourself in a position where you have to start justifying your lifestyle choices. I saw your Instagram story. You're in the gym at 6:30 this morning. You're mad. What are you doing that for? Would you not have a lie down for yourself? I'd never do that. And it becomes a lonely place. And it's the same with aesthetics. You've got to find women that are supportive of your choices. Because if you don't, it's a very them and us type of thing. So I do notice with most of the women that are coming into us, or some of the new ladies that are kind of converting across to us, we're providing that level of support on both the health and the aesthetic side, where it is that safe space and we're championing those women. They're often WhatsApping myself and Muriel, I'm in the gym, I'm walking, I bought this moisturiser, I got such and such a thing done, and we're supporting their lifestyle choices. And I think if you don't have those men or women in your cycle, go out and find them. Those groups of people you see walking the ring road at 6:30 in the morning in the gym, like Muriel, go over to them and say, listen, I just need someone to walk with in the morning. Can I join your gang? Like the fitness and the aesthetic community is very welcoming. No one's going to be like, no, you can't walk with us, you weirdo.
It's
Find
very,
your people.
Very interesting, because I know that, particularly where men are concerned, I mean, for instance, if you're off the drink and you're in a pub, people immediately assume you're on antibiotics
You're an
or
alien.
something. I mean, why are you off the drink?
Yeah.
You'll be grand, take that there.
Yes.
So you're saying we need the right people around us and
we
in our
need
circle.
the right people around us, because quite often people come into our clinic and maybe they don't necessarily have a specific goal in mind. They just know that they want to look and feel well, but they don't know how to go about that. So that's what myself and Muriel do. We'll point them in the right direction. So Muriel obviously is on the health side, but with me it might be something as basic as skin health. I have a rash, my skin is dry, I'm having these issues with my hair. Where do I go? What do I do? And that's kind of the start of the journey. Often they don't have a very specific goal in mind, but we put a plan in place for them. But I think the support is the biggest thing, that they can come into a clinic where they're not judged. Like if Muriel says to me, I'm in the gym at 4 a.m, I'm like, fantastic, you've had the most wonderful start to your day. I'm not judging her. It's the same with aesthetics. If people are coming in to get treatments done, they know it's a safe space. Whereas they mightn't have anyone in their world like that they can say, I've had this thing done, I've had that thing done, without judgment. So I just think that's really important to say.
It's interesting. So there's a little over 4 weeks to go then. I mean, what do you say if somebody comes into you and say, look, I'm a bit tired, I feel the skin is a bit sort of dry and saggy, I want to look great for the Christmas party or whatever. What do you say to them? Where do you even begin, Charlotte?
I keep it really basic and I start with a skin analysis. I never take what I call, an aesthetic virgin and just start injecting them. I always start with the basics, which is a comprehensive skin analysis, which comprises a digital skin analysis, much like Muriel's body composition analysis, nutrition and lifestyle assessment. Then I'll put a skincare plan in place for them. And then once we have the skincare done, because that for me is the foundation of any aesthetic routine, is your skincare routine. Once we have the nutrition nailed, then we can move on to some of the more mild treatments like a chemical skin peel, which is fantastic. It's not going to leave you with anything visible when you walk away. No one's going to know that you've had a treatment. It's not invasive, and it's just a lovely regenerative, restorative treatment for anyone with any skin type of any age, and it's really affordable. So that's something you can do between now and Christmas. It's just going to give your skin a lovely boost and a glow and hydration in a very natural way.
Interesting, because I often hear women talk about that glow, that notion of a glow. What exactly is that, by the way?
A glow is when someone is healthy. Like, quite often we forget that our skin is an organ. It's a vital organ. If you think about it, it doesn't just provide a physical barrier to all of our organs. It's also a chemical barrier. So, we have an acid mantle that helps to protect us from invading pathogens, bacteria, virus, fungi. If our skin isn't healthy, it can't do that. And that's when you get the eczema and the dermatitis and you get bacterial rashes and infections. So skin health is as paramount as the aesthetic side of skin care. So when our skin is healthy and glowing, we know that we have a healthy acid mantle. It's going to help protect us, particularly this time of year when we are, subject to bacteria, viruses, fungus. We don't want those things. So skin health is paramount. The glow is an indication that your skin is healthy and everything looks as it should.
Tell me about the eyes, because I always feel that, the eyes, they're a mirror to the soul, but also a good indication as to how you're feeling, how your health is, whether you've been out all night, getting enough sleep, all of that. What can people do about that?
Yeah, so one of the key things that I see most is bags under the eyes. So quite a lot of the time that can be a lymphatic drainage issue, which is something that we can deal with.
Is it?
Yeah, very commonly. We have a lot of lymph nodes in this area. And if our diet isn't where it needs to be, if our sleep isn't where it needs to be, quite often these lymph nodes can be blocked, and then we get fluid retention under the eyes and we have to massage it away using the correct products. Sometimes it can be collagen loss, sometimes it can be tiredness, sometimes it can be dehydration. There's different reasons why we have dark circles or bags under our eyes. So what works for one person won't work for another. That's why a skin analysis is really pivotal to treating that.
It's very interesting. And the colour of the eye, the white of the eye, because mine is always bloodshot. What about doing something about that? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's lifestyle. Even sometimes I can tell if someone has high cholesterol. They have what we call xanthelasma. It's a collection of little kind of almost like yellow lumps around the eyes. So lifestyle is massive. Like they say the eyes are the window to the soul, and they are. We can tell so much about a person's health just by looking at their eyes.
It's interesting, yeah. And of course, everything you do plays into exactly what we're talking about there, I guess.
It totally crosses over. So when somebody even comes to me on the health side, they'll cross into Charlotte afterwards, but they might even straight away. It could be like a toe fungus. It could be, when I'm doing again, going back to the functional medicine conference, they had this list of questions that as a practitioner we should ask. They were all the questions I'm already asking, because you ask things like, have you rosacea, have you eczema? tongue. I probably never looked at your tongue, Fran, but you're looking at somebody's tongue. You're looking at their gums. You're asking about their eye health. You're asking about blood vision, floaters in front of their eyes, pins and needles in their fingers. Everything crosses over.
I tick so many of those boxes.
I know. Restless legs. All of these things, yeah. But so you're asking the full list of questions. So if the full list of questions, like 3 or 4, 7 or 10 people will have 3 or 4 that will directly cross over to Charlotte. So I can do my piece then, and then I hand them over to her and she does her piece. So
it's interesting. And in terms of how you would look at somebody's skin and what they can do, I mean, food-wise, what about that, where skin is concerned?
Well, it all comes from internal. Like, if you were to go back to the very basics, the first thing somebody has to have in their world, and again, the next 3 or 4 weeks, this is so easy, omega-3s. Like, how many times have I said it? Omega-3s is essential fat. The more essential fat you have in your world, that's the anti-inflammatory side. That's the very start. And the more fat you have in your world, the less you want sugar. So if you're eating loads of omega-3s, you're not craving the processed sugar side, because it's one of the things that actually stops the appetite. So that, along with protein, and omega-3s come in a form of protein anyway, as in your egg is protein and fat, your fish is protein and fat. So like, if you do nothing else in the next 3 or 4 weeks, if you actually up your intake of omega-3s, even if you can't get it in through your diet, if you supplement, that'll definitely even make a difference. Handful of nuts and seeds, or a handful of nuts here and there, the extra virgin olive oil on every single thing, any of the seed oils on things. That's the very basis. You talk about omega-3s all the time. You talk about collagen. People message me all the time, what collagen can I take? The key collagen. They've all these names of collagen. Like, your chicken. I did a piece on social media on this, and it was 200,000 people were looking at it, whatever. It was a cooked chicken in a bag. I took the chicken out of the bag and I pulled the chicken apart, and I said, a chicken is supposed to look like this, lads. It's supposed to have veiny bits and stringy bits and all of those kinds of things, and you're supposed to eat all of those bits.
Not your perfect goujons that you see.
Yes, your Play-Doh. Yeah. Literally your perfect Play-Doh, yeah. But this is your collagen. Like, you talk about the marine collagen, comes from fish. Like your tuna and your salmon and your sardines or whatever. You don't need to buy it. You don't need the fancy supplements. We can actually eat it if we get it into our diet. So things as simple as that, Fran, that's your skin health.
It's interesting. And the people coming into you, Charlotte, I mean, in terms of what the issues they want you to deal with, how much of it is due to genetics, though? Does that play a big part in skin and all of that?
Yeah, things like psoriasis generally we would see are genetic, or people that have extremely sensitive profiles, or eczema or dermatitis prone. However, lifestyle is a massive factor. Just because there's something in your genetic line doesn't mean that you're 100% going to suffer from that same condition if your lifestyle is very different to that of your family. So lifestyle is huge.
Right, so even if you're predisposed in some way, you needn't trigger that.
Exactly, yeah, if you know what the triggers are. So identifying those triggers are key. So I had a girl in last week who had this rash for over a year. It was driving her mad. Didn't know what it was. She was just going crazy. She came in and I did a full Columbo on her. I mean, I asked her every single question, and it turned out that she was working in an air-conditioned environment in Dubai for the last 12 months. And going from a warm, humid climate like Ireland into a cold, dry climate that's air-conditioned 24/7 actually triggered that skin rash from her. It was perioral dermatitis.
And did that not occur to her?
No, because people don't realise that our skin is an organ that we wear on the outside, and it's very sensitive to environmental changes. So even if you were predisposed to something like a dermatitis or an eczema, sometimes you need that trigger, and in her case the trigger was the environmental change.
What about hair? Because you've spoken to me in the past about hair, and again between now and the Christmas party or whatever, if somebody presents themselves to you, what can you do to make their crowning glory more glorious and wonderful?
A diagnosis is where you start. Always a diagnosis. By the time people come to me, they've usually been around the house. There was a chap in during the week, he's had 2 hair transplants. He's tried everything under the sun. And I ask everyone the same question: do you have a formal diagnosis? And they say no. I say, you can't treat hair loss unless you know what the underlying cause is, because you're wasting your money on treatments that potentially are for a form of alopecia that you're not suffering from. So a diagnosis, get your diagnosis. I will then give them a treatment plan. And maybe that treatment plan starts in the new year, which is a good thing because they've time to think about it over Christmas. They're coming in before Christmas. I'm giving them a diagnosis. I'm giving them the plan. They can go away then, think about their time and their budget, and they can start that plan then in January. But diagnosis is where you have to start.
That's very interesting, because most men would just figure, sure, look, it's the usual male pattern baldness, but it can be other issues as well.
A key one is vitamin D deficiency. People don't realise that vitamin D isn't actually a vitamin, it's a hormone. It's a steroid hormone. So if we don't have enough vitamin D, we can't actually create or maintain our follicles or regulate our hair growth cycle. So it's, I'd say, probably the most important nutrient. And people that are not great at eating fish, generally tend to be quite low in vitamin D, especially if they're vegan, they're avoiding dairy products. Their vitamin D is on the floor, and thyroid dysfunction is another one. Either under or overactive thyroid can cause diffuse hair shedding in both men and women. So sometimes it's not male pattern hair loss. We need a kind of a thorough investigation. So that for me is a starting point. Get your diagnosis first. Don't jump into treatment.
Yes, you have a lot of techie stuff there that will indicate what the issue.
I love a bit of tech. It's my favourite. I do, yeah. I have I do. I have a trichoscope, which is a fancy word for like a microscope that we use on the scalp, and it helps me check the follicular health. You know, are those follicles alive? Are they active? Are they still producing hair? Are they gone into a period of dormancy? If they're in a period of dormancy, how long have they been dormant? Can we restore those hair follicles? Just for people to have that information. There are some people that I may not be able to treat, but at least they know going away, okay, this is what I have. It either is treatable or it's not treatable, or to what extent it's treatable. Instead of kind of going around feeling in the dark, spending, you know, possibly thousands of euros on treatments that don't work for them, to get a definitive answer for me, I think it's like it just sets you on the right path.
Very good. If there's women listening and they might like to treat themselves over the next few weeks, they mightn't have anything particularly wrong with them, but they just want to feel a bit better. How would you advise them?
Skin analysis first. I know I'm like a broken record, but I just think that's where you have to start. Come in, let me have a look at your skin under the scope, and I can recommend a treatment plan for you. And it doesn't have to be aesthetic. You know, we don't have to talk about needles. Sometimes it can just be one product that we change in a person's routine that makes all the difference. I would say about 70-ish% of people are using the wrong cleanser. So all these expensive serums and moisturisers that they're using are not being absorbed into their skin because they're not exfoliating properly. So sometimes it's as basic as swapping out your cleanser. So I would say start with a skin analysis, or get someone to buy you a skincare voucher, and then you can use it on any of the treatments that you like.
Very good. How does Muriel feel about extra virgin olive oil? I put a teaspoon into a mug of coffee and a dessert spoon into porridge every day. Is that enough? How does Muriel feel about it?
Fran loves health, doesn't he?
I can only imagine putting it into coffee. Are you off your head?
You can put extra virgin olive oil anywhere you want. You can rub it in your scalp, you can put it in your skin, you can drink it, you can stick it in anything you want, and it is wonderful. Right. It's wonderful. There's actually a really, oh no, I'm not able to talk about brands. I want to say like a very cost effective one somewhere, but anyway, we'll just leave it be. Follow my story.
Somebody wondering, this is kind of off centre, wondering could Muriel or Charlotte speak to us about snoring and maybe get some information about that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, overweight is one of the big things. Obesity, like that, you know, that literally is one of the main underlying causes of somebody snoring.
Yes.
You know, if they're lying on their back and their airways block and that kind of thing. So to lose weight is probably the biggest thing, to be honest. You have to lie on your side. We do know, when you're lying on your back, your airways shut off completely. So there is a train of thought that you can actually sew a tennis ball into somebody's back, into the back of their pyjamas.
Yeah.
But obesity is the biggest thing, and I find all of the sleep issues dissipate when somebody starts losing like that 10-20% of their body weight.
Isn't that interesting? An old friend of mine, Vinny Savage, is in Nina, and he says if somebody eats 2 eggs a day, is that too many? Asking for a friend, go out to that.
Your eggs, this is a good one. So many people are afraid of cholesterol in eggs, right? So the cholesterol in eggs is good cholesterol, so you don't have to worry about that. Make sure the eggs are organic eggs, so make sure that the hens are fed properly, as in the kippens and that around the yard, and not grain, because that creates the wrong omega-3s in it, right? But you can't really have too many eggs. The problem is your gut microbiome can overload on a certain food. So if you were to have eggs every single day, your gut microbiome might say, well, I actually have enough of that food now, I don't want it, and you might feel an aversion to it, that you just can't eat it for a month or so, you know. So what I would say, as with any food, have it for a couple of days and take a break, and then have it for a couple of days and take a break. So don't do it 7 days a week, but maybe do it 4.
All right. Kathleen is on. She wants you to do a full slot on IBS at some stage. Now, no, you did that too.
We'll do that in January.
In the past, but I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
Just a really quick one. Kind of an interesting question, really. Ask Muriel, is it better to walk 30 minutes together or split it up into 15-minute walks? You know, which is the most effective to burn calories?
There's no such thing as most effective, and forget about burning calories, because if you're eating the right diet, you can never walk off the wrong foods. Exercise, like a walk, is for your mental health and your cardiovascular health, so your health markers, right? It's whatever your body can manage to do, and you can do within the time constraints you have in a day. You do have to be slightly out of breath, so you're supposed to walk that you push yourself, that you can hold a conversation, but you have to take a breath here and there. So that's the most important thing, but there's no set in stone.
All right. If people want to talk to yourself or Charlotte,
you go today.
Go on, Muriel.
I know why you're doing. I know why Charlotte is doing this, because you always forget.
I don't. It's 062 88 002. See, 888002.
88002. Okay.
062.
All right. Well, great to see you both, and thanks very much for coming in to us today. That's Charlotte and Muriel. We'll take a break. Back in just a moment.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the Expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.